Hi Pilgrims, and welcome to the Pilgrim Story Hour. And on today's episode, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about journeys of initiation. Those journeys that lead us towards a greater understanding of who we are and what we are here to do with our lives. Now, when I arrived on the Camino the first time many years ago, it was really with a sense of trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. I was recently divorced, I had just quit my job, and I walked the Camino seeking that clarity, seeking that next step in my life that would make me feel fulfilled and that I was doing something that had meaning. And my answer came in a most unexpected way. I was on the Meseta, having just finished a hard day's walk, and I was just sitting at the albergue and listening in to some pilgrims who were speaking. And there was a small group of them speaking in English, which back then there weren't very many English-speaking pilgrims, so I paid close attention. And one of them was saying, did you know that this Camino that we are walking is called the Way of the Sword? It's the place where you battle your fears and you find your courage, which I found very interesting, so I leaned in just a little bit closer to listen. They said there is a second path that you can walk called the Way of the Heart, and that path leads to Rome. And on that journey, it's the place where you get to understand the meaning of love, and not just love between people and in relationships, but divine love, however you want to define that. And then there is another path that leads to Jerusalem. And that path is called the Way of the Soul. And it is on that journey that you discover your highest calling. And when I heard the Way of the Soul leads you to an understanding of what your calling is, it was the one that immediately jumped at me. And it was indeed the path that I would end up walking, starting in Rome, the way of destination of the Way of the Heart, and ending in Jerusalem. And when I began to do my research into this Way of the Soul leading to Jerusalem, I quickly realized there is no path. There is nothing marked. It would have to be something that I created and marked myself, which, thinking back on it now, I realize makes a lot of sense. There's a lot of wisdom in that, because really, how many of us know the path to our highest calling? And even knowing that, how many of us have the courage to actually take the steps towards that, to go exploring, to go put to the test all of our ideas and our beliefs, to have faith and to trust that the path is going to lead us to exactly where we need to be? Of course, it's not a marked path. It's a path that you have to mark with every step that you take towards living your highest purpose and your highest calling. You know, with time, I would come to really appreciate that these journeys of initiation, these three paths that all seekers are invited to explore, the way of the sword and the way of courage, where you are battling your fears and you're really examining all of your beliefs and your values. The way of the heart, where you're understanding the meaning of love. The way of the soul, where you are exploring how you can bring the best of yourself into the world. Really, they're all invitations to create a whole human being, someone who is united in body, mind, heart, and soul, walking this earth in a way that allows them to bring more love, more light, more compassion into the world. And whether or not you walk these three paths, I think really doesn't matter, but it is the idea of walking, trying to unite all these aspects of ourselves into this whole human being that can be in service to the world for the highest good. So I hope you enjoyed this little story on initiations and how you can use that in your pilgrimage. You can find more information about me on walkingforpeace.com, or you can look for me on Facebook and now on Instagram, where I'm taking you day by day on my journey from Rome to Jerusalem, showing you pictures, how many miles I walked, and sharing a short story that I've taken from my diaries. Thanks again for tuning in, pilgrims, and muy buen camino.